Well, the drone mystery has highlighted public fears over the safety of these increasingly popular unmanned aircraft. Joining us in the studio is Adam Bailey, who's the director of Kingfisher APS, which is an aerial photography company based here in the UK. Thanks for joining us here in the Arise News Hour. Now, we were just talking a moment ago, and you said that you wouldn't fly one of these drones out there over London because of the regulations. But the point is that a lot of people have these drones. They're relatively cheap now, and they don't necessarily know about the regulations. What are they?
Well, the use of drones in the UK is regulated by the Civil Aviation Authority under the Air Navigation Order. So anyone who flies in the air in the UK comes under the Air Navigation Order, and drones are no different. They come specifically under sections 166 and 167. So you need a permission for aerial work from the Civil Aviation Authority in order to fly them commercially in the UK. Other than that, you could fly somewhere remotely quite easily, if you want to do it as a hobby. As long as there was nobody near you. The regulations state that anyone within 50 metres of the drone has to be under the control of the person who's flying the drone itself.
Now, you must have heard of the mystery behind these drones flying around in Paris. Who do you suppose is behind it?
It's probably just a hobbyist who's having fun, running the authorities around, flying it up and down. There could be other nefarious groups who've been reported to possibly flying these. But the likelihood is it's just a hobbyist who's bought.
I'm just going to ask you this quickly, because you talk about nefarious groups. Do you think there's a security threat from drones, small drones like the ones that people sort of fly around? I mean, could they, for example, carry explosives?
There's always the possibility, but it's very unlikely. And from my understanding, the amount of explosives that you'd need to carry on one, you wouldn't be able to do it on a small drone. So, no, is the answer to that.
Nevertheless, there are security fears, particularly in Paris at the moment. Have we got to a stage where security services can perhaps start moving them and operating them if someone else is moving and operating the drone? Can they take over the drone?
It'd be rather unsafe to do that, and
right.
It would possibly be illegal because a commercial operator has a commercial right to operate their drone safely and in a safe manner. I mean, if we were working in London, we'd do so using safe systems of working. We'd ensure that where we worked was safe. We'd have clearance with air traffic control. We'd be working in accordance with our permission for aerial work.
But is it technically possible to take control of a drone that isn't yours?
You could interrupt the frequency that it's being controlled with. Whether you could take full control, that would be a technical question which I couldn't comment on.
Now you've come in with a drone.
Yes.
Just show us how it works.
Well, this is a very basic one. You can buy these for a few £100s at a shop down the road, in fact. We wouldn't necessarily use this for commercial use, but it's good to use an example. It uses 4 propellers to manoeuvre. We use this transmitter, and literally, if we want to go up, we push up. Come down, we push down,
and it's got
then we manoeuvre.
Stability, is it?
Yes.
To take the kind of smooth pictures that you need for the sort.
Well, it uses GPS to stabilise itself, and also the camera is stabilised using a gimbal, so that produces smooth imagery. And then we have control of the camera from the ground, and we see what the camera is seeing. So in our sphere, where we're looking at building structures, looking at elevated areas of buildings, unsafe areas of buildings, we get a live feedback and we can control the drone around. And we have a ground crew who control the area, make sure it's safe, make sure that the public know we're there. We're very conspicuous. We're not inconspicuous. Anyone who's working in that field needs to make sure that everyone's aware of what's going on.
But you say, how much did you say they cost? £100?
Well, this one's a few £100 in its very basic form. This particular one's not, but in its very basic form, it's a few £100. But they can go up to tens of thousands of pounds, and then the cameras can.
Well, actually, we used one. I have to say this.
Yes.
Plug for Arise News. But we used one of these to shoot a documentary recently in Africa for Arise News, and it had a 4K camera on it and could go 2 kilometres, up, which was like brilliant pictures, and you could zoom in the edit suite and you wouldn't have any sort of problems of resolution.
Well, with the main helicopter that we use for our work, we have a hexcopter, which is about 1.1 metre in diameter. The camera that we use is capable of 4K and 24 megapixel stills, but certainly at the high end, the broadcast end, it can certainly be very high quality, very expensive cameras that they can capture. The limits in the UK, you can travel up to 500 metres away from the person in charge of the aircraft before they have to then land or move closer to the aircraft. That's the maximum you can travel from the person in charge, and they have to remain within visual line of sight of the aircraft as well.
Yes.
But if you can buy these things for relatively small amounts of money, a few £100s, do you think the whole thing should be more tightly regulated because they can create such fear and havoc as we've seen in Paris?
My experience actually is it's not fear and panic. The general public are either interested or they're not. They don't mind at all. You know, as long as people are aware what's going on, there's no panic or fear at all. And with regards to Paris, with Paris, anything flying below 600 foot above Paris has to have clearance. The police, the ambulance, helicopters, the lot. So it's not just drones in that sphere itself. London's very different, and we're regulated in the correct way.
Right.
And with good relationships between the regulator, the professional body ARPAS UK, who represent the operators themselves. There's good dialogue between all of those bodies and making sure that the regulations are fit for their purpose.
So is this essentially the average size of drones?
No, this is a small quadcopter, and the likelihood is in Paris the person who's flying one is flying almost that exact model. That's the likelihood, but they can become as big as this desk depending on what they're carrying.
Right.
As I say, our one's about 1.1 metre in diameter, so it's about that big in diameter. It's not very big. It's made of carbon fibre and it weighs less than 7 kilos. So.
I feel much better informed about drones now after that. Adam Bailey, thanks so much indeed.
You.